It started with a headline no one could believe. Teen hacker steals 120 million from global banks. The story spread like wildfire, plastered across every news site, broadcast on every major channel. Reporters called him a genius, law enforcement called him a ghost, and the world called him the most dangerous teenager alive. His name was Alex Shaw, or at least that's the name people thought they knew. 17 years old, a high school junior with messy hair, thick glasses, and a quiet demeanor. He was the kind of kid teachers overlooked and classmates mocked. He sat alone at lunch, hunched over a laptop, always typing furiously. Most thought he was just another awkward computer nerd. No one realized he was building a digital empire in his bedroom. The heist began small. A few stolen credit card numbers, a handful of bank accounts siphoned for pocket money. But Alex had a gift. He understood code like it was a second language, slipping past firewalls and encryption systems that left seasoned hackers baffled. By 16, he was infiltrating international banks, moving money in tiny increments so it went unnoticed. But then, something changed. He got bolder, greedier, and in a single week, he orchestrated the largest cyber theft in history, 120 million, siphoned through a maze of shell accounts, cryptocurrency wallets, and offshore havens. By the time investigators realized what had happened, the money was gone, scattered across the globe like smoke. The FBI, Interpol, and cybersecurity experts from 5 countries launched a joint hunt. They raided data centers, tracked IP addresses, and interrogated anyone who might have known him. But Alex had covered his tracks too well. To them, he wasn't just a hacker, he was a phantom. And then, just as suddenly as he had appeared, he vanished. His laptop was found abandoned in his bedroom, its hard drive wiped clean. His phone was smashed, his bank account drained. His parents said they thought he had gone to school that morning, but he never came home. Witnesses claimed they saw him board a bus heading out of town. Others swore he was spotted at an airport, and a few believed he was still hiding in plain sight, living under a new identity. All anyone knew for certain was that 120 million had disappeared with him, and the boy who pulled off the impossible had left behind nothing but questions. Who was Alex Shaw really? A misunderstood genius? A criminal mastermind, or something far more dangerous? Before Alex Shaw became the world's most wanted teenager, he was just another quiet kid drifting through high school hallways. Teachers described him as brilliant but distracted, a boy who aced math exams but forgot to hand in homework, who spent more time staring at screens than talking to people. His classmates barely noticed him, except when they teased him for his secondhand clothes or the way he avoided eye contact. At home, life was no easier. His father had walked out when Alex was 9, leaving his mother to work double shifts at a diner to keep the lights on. Their house was small, cluttered, and always on the edge of foreclosure. Alex hated watching his mother break her back while bills piled up. He hated the pity in neighbors' eyes when they handed over casseroles or second-hand furniture. Computers became his escape. His first was an old desktop rescued from a junk pile, wires frayed and screen cracked. He fixed it piece by piece, teaching himself programming through free forums and late-night trial and error. By 13, he was writing code faster than most college students. By 14, he was lurking in online hacker communities, slipping into chat rooms under usernames like Specter and Null Void. He was drawn not just to the challenge of hacking, but to the thrill. Breaking into systems made him feel powerful, invisible, untouchable. The first time he drained a stranger's account for a few $100s, he sat back in his chair, heart pounding, laughing to himself. It wasn't about the money, then, it was about the rush. Still, he told himself he had good reasons. He used some of the stolen cash to pay off overdue utility bills, to keep food in the fridge, to buy his mother a birthday gift she hadn't dared to ask for. She never questioned where the money came from. She wanted to believe her son had a secret part-time job. But as Alex's skills grew, so did his ambition. He no longer wanted to just survive, he wanted revenge. Revenge on the banks that had denied his mother loans, on the systems that made people like them struggle while CEOs flew private jets. He saw himself not as a criminal, but as a vigilante, taking from the rich and keeping it for himself. In chat rooms, he became a legend. Other hackers whispered about Specter, the kid who could slip past million-dollar security systems like they were nothing. Some begged to join him. Others warned him he was playing too big, drawing too much attention. But Alex didn't care. He was addicted, and in the shadows of his bedroom, lit only by the glow of his laptop screen, he began planning the job that would make him infamous, the one that would bring banks to their knees and make him a ghost in the world's most powerful systems. He didn't know it yet, but every keystroke was bringing him closer, not just to 120 million, but to a vanishing act that would leave the world chasing his shadow forever. The heist began with a whisper, not a bang. Alex spent months studying international banking networks, mapping vulnerabilities like a cartographer charting a hidden world. He didn't charge straight into their firewalls. He slipped in through the cracks. No one thought to patch. Outdated servers, forgotten accounts, sloppy employees who reused passwords. His plan was genius in its simplicity. Instead of stealing all at once, he siphoned off tiny amounts from thousands of accounts across different banks, amounts so small they blended into the noise of daily transactions. A few cents here, a few dollars there, microscopic leaks that nobody noticed. Then, with a single coordinated push, he funneled it all into a labyrinth of cryptocurrency wallets, shell corporations, and anonymous offshore accounts. At first, it worked flawlessly. His screen lit up with numbers climbing higher and higher, 10 million, 40 million, 75 million. The money was moving so fast it seemed unreal, like he was playing a video game with global stakes. But by the time the final transfers were complete, the total stunned even him. 120 million, sitting just out of reach of every government on Earth. The first sign of trouble came within hours. Banking officials flagged irregularities, patterns that didn't add up. By the end of the day, financial institutions across 3 continents were in panic mode. And when cybersecurity experts traced fragments of the attack, the FBI was called in. Alex watched the chaos unfold in real time. News anchors spoke breathlessly about the largest coordinated cyber theft in history. Banks scrambled to reassure customers their money was safe. Politicians promised swift justice. And Alex sat in his bedroom, headphones around his neck, grinning like a kid who had just pulled the ultimate prank. But the grin didn't last long. For the first time, Alex realized just how high the stakes had become. This wasn't a few stolen credit cards or a couple $1,000s slipped into his PayPal account. This was war against the global banking system, and now the world's most powerful agencies were hunting him. Agents raided homes of suspected hackers across the country, dragging people out in handcuffs. Cyber task forces from Interpol, Europol, and the NSA coordinated in a way rarely seen before. They didn't know who Specter was yet, but they knew he was a teenager, and that made the story explode even more. A kid outsmarted the banks. A kid humiliated the system. Suddenly, Alex wasn't just a hacker. He was a ghost story. A legend whispered in the same breath as bank robbers and cartel bosses. But with every headline, every newscast, every rumor, he felt the net tightening around him. He had stolen 120 million. Now he had to figure out how to stay alive long enough to keep it. The hunt for Alex Shaw became a global spectacle. His face, one of the few photos the press could dig up from his high school yearbook, was plastered on every screen. A pale teenager with messy hair, unsmiling, eyes hidden behind thick glasses. Overnight, he was branded the teen hacker mastermind, the ghost who had robbed the world's banks and made them look like fools. But Alex was no ordinary fugitive. He knew the rules of digital survival better than anyone chasing him. Before the heist, he had spent months preparing escape routes, digital and physical. His laptop's hard drive had been designed to self-wipe after 3 failed password attempts. He carried multiple fake IDs bought from darknet vendors. He even stashed burner phones and encrypted flash drives in hiding spots across town. When the FBI raided his house, they found only an empty bedroom. His computer was fried, his phone shattered into pieces, and his backpack gone. His mother sat at the kitchen table in shock, insisting she thought Alex had just gone to school that morning. She wept on national television, begging him to come home, but Alex never appeared. Then came the sightings. A blurry photo of a boy at a bus station in Chicago. A security camera shot of someone in a hoodie buying a one-way ticket at JFK Airport. A grainy clip of a teenager withdrawing cash from an ATM in Berlin. Each tip sent investigators sprinting, but by the time they arrived, Alex was gone. He seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. Behind the scenes, intelligence agencies whispered about what he might do next. Would he try to spend the money? Would he use it to vanish completely? Or worse, was he planning something bigger? Some even feared he was working with foreign governments, selling his knowledge of bank systems to the highest bidder. Meanwhile, on hacker forums, Specter became a legend. Anonymous users claimed they had seen him in chat rooms, taunting investigators with cryptic messages. "Catch me if you can." Others swore he was already dead, killed by the very criminals he had stolen from. But no one could prove anything. And then came the twist that stunned even the most seasoned investigators. While tracing the money, forensic accountants discovered that Alex hadn't kept all of it. Tens of millions had been transferred to hidden accounts linked not to him, but to ordinary people, drowning in debt, single mothers behind on rent, veterans fighting foreclosure, students buried in loans. Somehow, Alex had hacked into credit bureaus and utility systems, wiping away bills and dropping life-changing sums into strangers' accounts. To some, he was no longer a thief. He was a modern-day Robin Hood, a teenage outlaw rewriting the rules of wealth. Protesters held signs outside banks that read, "Free Specter." Online groups declared him a hero. But to the FBI, he was still the boy who humiliated the world's financial system, and they were determined to find him, no matter how far he ran or how deep he vanished into thin air. As the manhunt stretched into months, the legend of Alex Shaw only grew. News networks ran endless specials, dissecting his every move, while online forums turned him into a folk hero. Memes spread, calling him the kid who beat the banks. Protesters outside Wall Street held banners with his codename, Specter Lives. But for investigators, the myth was a nightmare. Every lead went cold. Every digital footprint ended in a dead end. Alex had built a disappearing act so flawless that even the world's most advanced cyber task forces were left staring at blank screens. Then came a break, or so they thought. In a small town in Argentina, a teenager was arrested after withdrawing thousands in cryptocurrency linked to Alex's heist. For a brief moment, headlines screamed that the ghost had been caught. But within days, officials admitted the boy was just a copycat, another hacker who had stumbled into fragments of Alex's trail. The truth was stranger. Buried deep in the blockchain, analysts discovered that Alex himself had moved a fraction of the stolen fortune into public charity accounts. Millions had been anonymously donated to disaster relief efforts, children's hospitals, and refugee organizations. It was undeniable he wasn't just hiding the money. He was spending it in ways no one expected. The revelation split the world in two. Was Alex a criminal mastermind who stole $120 million? Or was he a vigilante who took from corrupt institutions and gave to the people? Supporters called him a saint. Banks and governments called him a terrorist. And every time new donations appeared, public fascination exploded again. But law enforcement wasn't swayed. Behind closed doors, the FBI admitted they feared Alex was becoming more dangerous, not less. If he could cripple banks at 17, what could he do as an adult? One agent described him as a ticking time bomb with a keyboard. And then, as if to prove their worst fears, Alex resurfaced, at least digitally. On the anniversary of the heist, a message appeared across multiple hacked news sites. The same chilling words, flashing in bold letters. "I am still here. You can't catch a ghost." The message vanished within minutes, replaced by normal broadcasts. But the damage was done. Panic rippled through financial markets. Stocks dipped. Bank CEOs were forced to reassure the public that their systems were secure. Meanwhile, in a quiet neighborhood somewhere far from home, a witness swore they saw a thin boy with messy hair slipping into an internet cafe, typing furiously before vanishing into the streets. By the time authorities arrived, the place was empty. No trace, no name. Just the faint smell of cigarette smoke and the hum of an abandoned computer still glowing on the desk. It was clear now. Alex wasn't finished. He was watching. He was waiting. And 120 million still sat scattered in the shadows of the digital world, money no one but him could ever truly touch. Years passed, but Alex Shaw's name never faded. Every few months, a new rumor surfaced. A blurry photograph of a boy at a train station, an anonymous transfer of millions to a children's charity, a sudden cyber attack that bore his digital signature. Each time, authorities scrambled, and each time, the trail dissolved like smoke. His mother never saw him again. She moved out of their small town, hounded by reporters who wanted to know if she was hiding him. She insisted she wasn't. "If he's alive," she told one interviewer through tears, "I just hope he's safe." Some believed she secretly received money from him, small deposits in offshore accounts that kept her comfortable. Others swore she was as much in the dark as the rest of the world. The banks never recovered the 120 million. Portions were traced, yes, but most of it remained untouchable, locked away in encrypted wallets only Alex had the keys to. Governments quietly admitted behind closed doors that they might never get it back. Entire teams of cryptographers failed where a teenager had succeeded. And yet, Alex's legacy was not just in the money he stole, it was in the fear he left behind. Banks rewrote their security systems from the ground up. New laws were passed on digital currencies, online anonymity, and international hacking. Cybersecurity became the fastest-growing industry in the world, all because of one boy who had disappeared into thin air. But to the public, he became something else entirely. To some, he was a criminal who destroyed lives, a selfish thief who endangered economies for the thrill of it. To others, he was a digital Robin Hood, a ghost who exposed the fragility of a system built on greed. His story inspired documentaries, books, conspiracy theories, and even protest movements. People wore masks with his yearbook photo printed on them. Hacktivists online invoked his codename, Specter, as a rallying cry. The FBI still keeps a file open, marked with his name. Agents admit privately that if Alex is alive, he would now be in his 20s, smarter, more experienced, and even harder to find. Some believe he's hiding in plain sight, living under a false identity, quietly controlling his fortune. Others think he died years ago, his secrets buried with him, leaving only myths behind. And then, one night, on the 10th anniversary of the heist, something happened that reignited every theory. Dozens of ATMs across Europe glitched at once, spitting out messages instead of cash. The words were the same in every country. "The ghost is still watching. No money was stolen. No accounts were touched. Just a message. A signature. A reminder." Alex Shaw, the boy who drained 120 million from the world's banks and vanished into thin air, was still out there. Or at least, that's what he wanted everyone to believe. Whether he was a criminal, a hero, or just a ghost, one truth remained. No one would ever forget him.